Hello and welcome to LFC Transfer Room after Liverpool have had a win. I'm joined by Chris as always and one of our fans, Taylor. How are we doing, boys?
All right, not too bad. Happy with the win.
Oh boy, what a win. In terms of morale boosting, maybe not performance-wise, but to be honest, mate, I don't give a flying or anything. I'm not going to say it because I'm a good boy. I do not care how we win as long as we win. And that today was just exactly what we needed. I don't know if you agree with that, boys.
Yeah, 100%. 5 points off fourth now as well, which is... we're having a bad season, and we're having a season of their lives, and we're still above.
Love it, mate. Love it.
But yeah, the game obviously finished with Patricio being knocked out. It's sad, isn't it? It's sad. Start with you, Chris.
It's awful, horrible to watch.
Absolutely gutting, and I feel really, really sorry for him. Like, we've seen in the past, like Hugo Lloris had it, Ryan Mason had it specifically. He got really badly head injury. Raul Jimenez earlier this season as well. I feel really sorry for him sitting there and watching it because he'll know exactly what Rui Patricio is going through. And Connor Cody, he didn't mean any of that. There was no he couldn't. What could he do? And lots of things are going around. I don't think the referees could have done anything. Mo Salah couldn't have done anything. Connor Cody couldn't do anything. Rui Patricio couldn't do anything. It's just a whole load of bad luck that no one deserves that outcome. And it just looked horrible. I
mean, one good thing-ish to come out of it is the fact that concussion substitutions have actually been given a reason to be used now. Because obviously, if 6 months ago, that would have been a player going in goal. So it's good to see that finally brought into the game, isn't it?
Yeah,
massively, mate. It's heart-wrenching, and I almost felt sorry. One thing that really wound me up today, right, and it's gonna sound like a broken record, actually. Martin Tyler, okay, Martin Tyler said when Rui Patricio got injured and John Ruddy was warming up, he's like, at least John Ruddy's gonna look like he's gonna get a run in the team. I'm just like, what an insensitive thing to say.
He's
awful.
He's shocking. He's so bad.
Football. It's football. Football isn't important in that situation. It's about the health of a player. He could have been he could be seriously injured for life there. That is horrible.
Ryan Mason didn't recover from it, did he either? So it's not as though it's guaranteed he could. Even Jimenez, he may not recover from it. He may not be able to play football again. So it's a career-threatening injury, and he's more bothered about John Ruddy, who's awful, getting a run in the Wolves team.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, ridiculous.
Also, the digs tonight at just Liverpool. He's such a closet man. I'm sorry, I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
We need to get Piece of Joe on Sky, don't we? He's the OG commentator.
I think you do a better job, Matty, to be honest. I reckon you smash it. You'd be a bit biased, though, lad.
Just a bit. But yeah, going on to the goal then. I said it on the pre-match. I just felt like Jota had a point to prove. And he proved that point, didn't he? Why did he get rid of him?
What a finish, though. I mean, Patricio, again, I don't like to criticise him after what's just happened, but he should have done better with it. Yeah. But what was really striking with me is that throughout the game, the best times that we create chances when we move the ball quickly. It's such a cliche. Again, I feel like we're repeating ourselves every week. The two big chances we had, one for Mane, he had two quick passes from Wijnaldum and Thiago. And then one for that one, it was Salah, Mane, Jota. And bang, goal, created opportunities, moving the ball quickly, makes sense, doesn't it, boys?
Yeah, big pickle. You'd think we'd pulled away from that, but I was quite frustrated with Salah today. Very frustrated.
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing to say about Mo, though, is I think he does go alone sometimes, and he can be frustrating. He can be quite selfish, but then sometimes you think he does that and he produces something absolutely magical and scores a goal out of nothing. And I think he's one of the only players that can do that.
Like that goal at West Ham earlier in the year, where he just out of nowhere just takes on 3 players and puts it in top corner. Watch out, Mane as well. He was class tonight, apart from his finishing. Can't finish his dinner but he was sharp. He was just everywhere. He was just bouncing off players. Assisted the goal as well. He looked really good tonight compared to what he's been this year.
I think that goal against Leipzig gives him the world of confidence, to be honest with you, because he did look like a different player tonight. Mane, to what he's been in recent weeks, he's like a shadow of himself. And for me, Mane is one of the best players in the world on his day. He's just
say the line, Matty. Say the line.
What is it? I just thought I completely agree with that lad. He is one of the best players in the world, and it's good to see him be in a bit of form. But on this comment here, Chamberlain massively impressed me when he came on, because when he's been on in recent weeks, he's just been like, has he even been playing? He's been that poor, but he looked energetic today, didn't he? You can see how different he is in a central role.
Ridiculous. It's like we've been saying it for the last. The reason he came to Liverpool was to play in a central role, maybe not centre forward, but central midfield. We've been regularly utilising him out on the right and even on the left towards the end of last season. And that's not his position, in my opinion. Yes, he can play there. He can also play right back if you really wanted him to. But, his position, he can impact the game most when he's picking up the ball in a 10 area, whether he's playing in the 8 or playing in the 9. You know what? Screw it. Ox up top.
Klopp wanted to do that at the start of the season, didn't he? He said he wanted to play Ox in a more of a false 9 as backup to Bobby. But obviously now Jota's came in. He hasn't had the chance, but he's shown it tonight that he can play well there.
Do you think he stays in the summer, given the lack of amount of minutes he's had this year?
I think so. I think he had a really horrible injury again at the start of the season. One that wasn't due to being injury prone. It was again a really unfortunate injury. But yeah, I genuinely, I'm a massive fan of Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's given me some of my best memories as a Liverpool fan going to he scored probably the second best goal I've seen live against Man City in the Champions League. That goal went in slow motion for me. And I still remember it more than a lot of things. And you know what? I love him. I love Ox, and he's got a great personality, great leader in the dressing room. I don't know why on earth anyone would even think of selling him, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I love him, but I just think this summer, with us needing maybe cash to invest, he could be maybe someone with a higher value to depart.
Just hasn't been the same since the injury got against Roma. Just hasn't been the player that he was.
I disagree. I think he was up there last season in his phases. When towards January and February last year, I thought he was one of our best players. You remember he had that spell where he played really well against West Ham and Southampton as well, and he came on and did well in other games as well. I don't think he's been as good, obviously, but he still provided. He was our top scorer bar in the front three last season. He got 7 goals last season. And turned up in big moments.
Yeah, what was your thoughts on Phillips today?
If there was a meteor coming towards Earth, and it was, if you needed anyone, Nat Phillips would head the thing away. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. He's so good. I can't praise him enough. I
think he was excellent, but this man here was better today. I thought he was absolutely wonderful today, and he gets a lot of unnecessary slander because of that whatever happened with Alisson against Leicester. I think when he's played, he's looked relatively solid. Yes, he's not the quickest, but that comes with time. That comes with development. And you know what, him and Phillips today actually were excellent.
I mean, people say he's not the quickest, but he didn't do a bad job keeping up to Adama on that sprint, did he?
No, something about our centre backs, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't fault Kabak in any of the games he's played. That mistake with Alisson, I blamed Alisson after it.
We've got a special guest, boys. Here he is. It's his first appearance on the channel. The main man, Mr. Dan Izquierdo. How are you, mate?
How's it going, guys? We're doing good.
Yeah,
fantastic. Never thought we'd see the day. What are your thoughts on the game, lad?
just figure I should make a quick appearance here on the conversation. I just gotta say, I mean, it's wonderful to go back again and start winning matches. It's actually really good that we see Fabinho once again in midfield. I just have a huge issue with losing so many chances. He is such a threat, but if we are going to start moving forward, something needs to happen up front. And I've been saying this all along. I think Diogo Jota has been coming on to replace Firmino long term, but Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah don't have someone to push them to the next level. Because at the moment there's no one in this team that can take their place, because they know that Diogo Jota can just slot in for Firmino. So they're like, you know what, I can still do whatever I do now, and I'm gonna still be starting. So we need another signing that is going to push both Salah and Mane, because at the moment, without anybody to push them, is just no good for us.
Who should that signing be, Dan?
Say what?
Who should the signing be? Who can push them?
I don't know actually if you guys read my article I did actually like last month. 70 million pound signing. His release clause was actually going to be triggered. He plays for Real Sociedad, their captain.
Oh, yeah, I thought about it, yeah. Good, decent player he is.
Oyarzabal?
Yeah.
Oyarzabal can play as a number 10, can play as a winger, can play as a striker. If I'm not wrong with numbers, he's currently at 13 goals in 13 games or more. So his goals are incredibly good. He was so close to joining Manchester City last summer. But again, that 70 million release clause is incredibly high for any team in Europe. So in my opinion, if you really want to push to the next level, and at this moment, you cannot sign Mbappe for 100 or 200 million. You cannot sign in Haaland for 150 million. You got to settle for what's best financial-wise, and that is Oyarzabal. For 70 million, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be like a Virgil van Dijk type of signing.
Seems like Chedu's happy to see you, pal.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Yeah, to be fair, I think, and this might be pushing the boat out here, Takumi Minamino, right? Yes, he's not had a great time of it, but I love him. So give him a chance, boys. Give him a chance. I love that. I love that young fella. If we're strapped for cash, Taki, and also Harvey Elliott, don't forget.
Yeah.
He's coming back. He's a young lad. He's a young lad. But if we're strapped for funds and we can't afford 70 million, Ben, you can't be here today. You can't get ahead of ourselves. Absolutely, I agree with that.
He still manages to bring some negativity, doesn't he? When he's even on YouTube, we can get ahead of ourselves, Ben. We're 5 points off top four.
What's everyone's take on Nat Phillips today with another solid performance?
Favorite man, Mr. Fat Nillips, as I love to call him. What a man!
He's making a good case to even start next to Van Dijk maybe next year.
Whoa! Slow down.
Hear me out now. I know that I was actually thinking this during the game. I'm thinking, okay, Joel Matip is definitely worried right now that Nat Phillips can take his place. But hear me out now. Joe Gomez, despite being a better defender than Nat Phillips, he is more unreliable than him because his fitness issues does not let him compete at the same consistent level than Nat Phillips. So if Nat Phillips keeps playing his cards right and Joe Gomez's fitness becomes an issue, we can eventually see Nat Phillips just be partnering him next to Van Dijk. Now we know Van Dijk can make anyone be incredibly good. Can you imagine what he can transform Nat Phillips into? I don't even want to think about it. The guy is 6'2", so it's going to be pretty solid at the back, if you ask me.
I just think
I love it. Go on, Taylor.
I just think Van Dijk provides what Nat Phillips' job is, and Gomez provides the pace in behind. If someone's getting in behind, he covers it. I just don't think Nat Phillips has that. But if, just say next season, he's a backup option. If we're hanging on to a lead in the last couple of minutes and they're just getting balls fired into the box, you put him on, he's just going to header everything away. He's
absolutely.
Just the basics that he does so well.
I like him. I think he reminds me a lot of Jamie Carragher. He's an old school defender, and I love old school defenders. Body on the line, win at all costs. And the first few games he come into the team wasn't very good, but I agree with Dan. I genuinely believe he's got a case to start next season with Van Dijk.
I'm going to be honest here, boys. I completely disagree with you. If you notice how much more shackled Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson are, that is no undue fact to do with the fact that Van Dijk and Gomez aren't there. Van Dijk and Gomez are one of, if not the best centre-back partnership we've had in the Premier League history. Have a case to be one of the best centre-back partnerships we've had in our history. I don't think, however much I love the Barbarese, I don't think you can say even with Joe Gomez's fitness issues that he can be anywhere near them two if and once he gets back. And we have some Taylor fans in the comments. Here he is. We have some Taylor fans.
You do have to. So the thing is that if rumors are true, and Liverpool really are behind Konate, there's another injury-prone defender right there. So Joe Gomez, if we remember, this is his second or third long-term injury as a Liverpool player. So he's no new to the whole fitness issue things. So what happens if next season Joe Gomez gets another long-term injury? Who are you playing there? That's the question. And I think for myself in this moment, the best person and the best player has to be Nat Phillips. The next
Gomez might never play again. Gomez might never play. It's been said by physios that injuries are a lot worse than people think. He snapped the tendon that connects his leg together. He might never play at this level again. So I don't think it's out of the question for Nat Phillips. I'd rather start Nat Phillips next to Van Dijk than Kabak.
No. There's also a different thing right now. The question here is, do you cash in on Nat Phillips now that he's probably worth what right now, 15, 20 million? Or do you take the gamble of keeping him for a few more years and losing or depressing his value? That's a huge one.
One thing I'd like to compare him to. Sorry, go on, Matty.
How much is the Kabak option to buy, though? Because if you get rid of Phillips, you probably have to buy Kabak.
Should be 18 million, I believe.
One thing I think plays in Nat Phillips' favour is he's English, and we need to fill our homegrown quota. But another thing I will compare him to, I'll compare him to Jordan Ibe. Okay, so we had coming through 2015-16 a season where we didn't really play at our peak. We had Jordan Ibe, one of the brightest sparks, and we sold him for 15 million right after he scored his first Premier League goal. I wouldn't be surprised if the same feat were to happen for Nat Phillips. Maybe people think he's reached his peak this year. I don't know. That I'm not. The reason I'm not working in professional football is because I'm not a massive judge of potential. But look, I just can't see it, if I'm being honest with you.
There's a reason people held on to him for so long, though, isn't there? He's 23. Why usually with academy players, we get rid of them if they're not going to make it when they're like 19, 20. So the fact he's been held on for so long, there's obviously a reason. People see talent in him.
I completely agree. But I mean, considering the Jordan Ibe deal, I mean, when he was at Liverpool, the guy was like 19, 20, and that's where Matty's point comes into play. Nat Phillips is 23. He has Bundesliga experience, Premier League experience. The guy has it all already. All he needs is really to work under a manager that can develop him. So, and if we can pull one of the comments out, there's another point that they're actually talking about, which is sell Phillips, St. Matip, sign Kaba, and Kaba can go for someone bigger. And that's actually another big point. And just like Chris says, he's English. We can get a lot of money for him. And I mean, we're really going to have to take a gamble here. Do we keep him and we play it safe, or do we just sell him and then we actually get someone bigger? I mean, it's really left to see.
What about this comment then about Patson Daka? Ben will be made up with this.
Ben's busy, mate.
Absolutely.
Is he the answer for number 9?
Right now, Patson Daka is the next Haaland. A lot of people are sleeping on him. For my surprise, is that he's still at Salzburg. I have no idea how he's still there. Last season, he showed everyone why he's a top-class player. And he already came out publicly and admitted that he's a Liverpool fan. So that's already hinting over there. That's similar to those Timo Werner flirts that he was trying to get their attention. So I think he's the perfect Divock Origi replacement. Pace, threat. He's tall. He has it all. He's such a goal-scoring machine, and he's going to be coming in really cheap. If you ask me, Patson Daka, probably 25 million, if not less. So that's one to keep an eye on for sure.
He's got
Do you
more
reckon
goals
with-
per
with-
game than he as well. Like he's got more goals than he has games in that division. He's that good over the past 2 seasons.
And last season as well. I believe last
Yeah.
season he was also close to like 26 games or in 25 goals or something like that.
Yeah,
He's a really good goal output. So if we do not go ahead and get this signature, I believe he's going to become the next Haaland, where he goes to Borussia Dortmund and suddenly he becomes a world-class player.
We could could we not maybe just ship Origi off to Salzburg and get him even cheaper then?
That really is a problem, and that's where I think
They wouldn't take Origi.
that's a huge point, because I don't know if you guys can remember. I think it was David Maddock who actually came out and said that Liverpool were working on a deal for Bodman and an exchange deal for Divock Origi. But the thing here is, I don't think Divock Origi is going to want to go to the French league in a team that he's going to be battling out for titles. He needs reassurance. He already was at Lille. So who wants to take Divock Origi? That's the question. And Divock Origi is going to want some reassurance. So we have to sell Origi for 50 million and then just spend some more money in Dhaka. I don't mind it.
Mate, do you think anyone's going to pay 15 million for Divock Origi in 2021? Not for me.
I think that Liverpool should have sold Origi last summer when we won the league.
Exactly.
unless he scores in the Champions League final that we're going to get to in Istanbul last minute, like he always does.
I love the optimism.
Before we move on, I don't know how long we have, but can we talk about Diogo Jota's role? I don't know if you guys saw, but unlike last matches, he was actually playing more centrally. He was actually playing more in the middle. He was playing more of that Firmino role. He was doing that false nine job. He was left, he was right, he was up and down. And I don't know if this is something that Jurgen Klopp is actually working on, but it seems that if he can somehow get in the same level as Firmino for the false nine role, we really have a winner here in our hands.
Just sad to see Bobby decline, though, innit?
Mate, we can't hold on though. We have to be ruthless here. And what I will say is, Bobby puts that goal, the one that Jota scores, Bobby puts that in the stand. If I'm being honest with you, especially at the moment.
Absolutely, we really are we're clinching too much into Firmino. He's been a great servant, but he's been so many years at Liverpool, and he's already 30 years old. I mean, it was bound to happen, whether it hurts people or not. He's the weakest of the front three. So just because of all the praise that Jurgen Klopp has given him, it doesn't mean that he's undroppable, So Diogo Jota is the future and the present at the moment, and unless Firmino puts up his game, he's going to be benched.
Do you reckon we cash in on Firmino at the end of the season?
Ooh, Maddie.
Again, who's going to pay the money for him? In 2021, right?
A lot of people would pay for Roberto Firmino.
You think anyone would pay more than 50 million for him? Seriously?
Yeah, in the Bundesliga,
No way.
I think in the Bundesliga, he'd still be as good as he can be. I think the Premier League's just a little bit too fast for him now.
I think he'd be good, but seriously, if I'm thinking as an investor, a 30-year-old Brazilian who scored 6 or 7 goals in this league, but don't forget the Bundesliga's got limited spots for non-EU players. I think it would be a ridiculous financial decision to sign him for 50 plus million.
Well, we could give him part of the Haaland deal.
You don't have one for Matty. I love you, bro.
No, but I genuinely do believe Mbappe is doable this season because he's got a year left on his contract. PSG can't be demanding 200 million for a player who you can go negotiate with in January for nothing.
It really becomes a huge issue within Firmino's role itself, because he became so popular because he was able to become the world's best false nine. But if you think about it, how many teams play with a false nine in Europe, in the world? So only those teams that play with false nines are going to be interested in him. And even if they're interested in him, they're going to think, okay, he's 30 years old already. I don't want to risk it too much. So unless there's a team that is willing to take the gamble and play two strikers up front, and just Firmino with someone else, I just don't think. Like Chris says, it's something that I didn't really consider, but I don't know how many teams will be interested in paying 50 million or more on Firmino at the moment.
I agree with Petrie. Petrie does often talk a lot of sense. And I agree. I agree here. I think he's so loved by Liverpool Football Club, and by the fans, that maybe his role, firstly, will be to and then he'll go and run out his contract and go to Brazil or something like that to finish his career. He could play an 8, he could play a 10, and he could play a 9. I think he's good enough to do all three. Taylor,
is it hard to think that Bobby could potentially do the James Milner role because of his work rate?
He can reinvent himself. I think he's very capable of that. Like, just even like a play like Naby Keita does, just dribbles through past couple of players, wins the ball back, plays it off. He's that good, but I just don't think he's a false 9 anymore. Jota's got too much movement that he doesn't, and he's got the pace as well, Jota, to get away from players where Bobby just lacks that. He's got the skills and that, but he just doesn't. His movement is a bit. People read him too easily as well now.
And Jota has got the instinct, the goal scorer's instinct that Bobby never has had. He scored, I think he got 25, 26 goals in one season, but that was a complete anomaly. If you look at his career, he's mainly scored 10 or 11 goals every season. And look, he's been unbelievable for Liverpool Football Club, and he will continue to be unbelievable for Liverpool Football Club, but it may not be in the role that we all know as at the moment.
I mean, Joss has been back 2 games and we've got 2 wins.
Facts.
It's true. It's true. It's maybe a hint that we need new players in and capable of transforming the front line. And just like you guys say, he will reinvent himself. He's done it all his life. He started as a fullback, if I'm not wrong. Bobby started as a fullback when he was a kid. Then he switched to the middle. Then he switched to a number 10. Then he turned into a striker. I mean, I don't see any problem at all as him reinventing himself and moving back to a number 8 maybe. He could do the Wijnaldum, the Milner role. He loves the club so much, and I think that he's also aware that not many clubs in the world play with a false 9. So unless he's willing to downgrade and move to a lower team, I think he will stay still with us and be loyal, even if it's in the bench.
Cheddar.
That's facts. That's genuine facts.
No, he didn't.
On goal.
Right. Let me have a look at this. Right.
I'm sure that's true. I remember seeing something somewhere about Bobby's peak season's better than Aguero's peak season in the Prem.
No. Right. Let me have a look at this. First, 26 goals, 24 goals, 20 goals, 21 goals, 21 goals, 16 goals.
I think Bobby's means goal, like in terms of like goals and assists. So goal involvement.
Mate, no, shut up, Cheddy.
What about Trent today then? Trent looked back to...
Definitely. Maybe that's Phillips' impact, because he's having to defend a bit more, but he looked really, really solid defensively today. Maybe not going forward as much. He did put in a couple of good crosses as well. I don't know what you think, Taylor, but I definitely think he looked properly solid.
Yeah, there's a few times when he beat Neto in a race as well. I thought Trent's not that quick, but he has a lot more pace than people think. And I think defensively, he's not. I don't know. He's hit and miss defensively. He can become the defensive player. No, he's not man of the match.
Kabak for me, but
yeah, Kabak. Yeah, it was
definitely.
I just feel like
match done.
What?
Who would you go for man of the match?
Man of the match? I mean, for me, it has to be Diogo Jota. Sadio Mane had the bigger chances, but I think he wasted too many options. Salah was absolutely... He ghosted from the game. I didn't know how many... He did. I think he did the pass before the assist for the goal. But other than that, I don't remember him doing much. At the back, Fabinho, Phillips, splendid. But I think for me, it was Diogo Jota. Not many people are going to obviously mention him, but I think he just added that extra bit of threat to the attack.
I think what he does is a level of unpredictability as well. It's sort of a bit like Philippe Coutinho. He's a completely different player, obviously, but you just sort of know that even though he may be on the periphery of a game, he can produce something magic, and that's what he did. I
think he actually does. I actually think he does the opposite. He does what the front three usually doesn't do, which is shoot. He grabs the ball, he shoots it, and that's it. What we're doing now, Sadio Mane is taking so many turns, he's bringing the ball back. Salah is taking so long to shoot the ball. I mean, right now we need someone to go in the box and shoot it, and he does that, and he does it so well. And he's just such a threat. He's incredible, and that's what we needed.
I don't think Fabinho's talked about today as well as much. He's since he came back into that six role, he's been so good. He's been unreal. Like,
One thing I wanted to point out. Sorry, go carry on, man. I'll finish when you go.
No,
finish
that's fine.
So one thing I wanted to point out with Fabinho is, and none of our other midfielders do it at all, is he knows when to foul people. And and he does it well. Like Thiago fouls people and he gets out of it. But Fabinho knows how to foul people well and not get booked. It's a really, really clever skill. Kante has done it. Fernandinho has done it. And Essien was another one who was excellent at that. But yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. Taylor's getting some more plaudits in the comments. But I think we have to bring this up. We have to, don't we?
Ben, I used to like you.
Oh no, my goodness me.
It's not. There's an Curtis Jones, when he's played, has been one of Liverpool's best players consistently. The amount of the City game and the Leicester game when he came off, Liverpool crumbled, in my opinion, especially the Leicester game. Curtis Jones, him not playing has not made Liverpool win games. Curtis Jones has been the player who's looked the most bothered on the pitch when he's been playing.
You know what excites me actually from the current Liverpool team is that we don't even know how good this team can be because we're still missing Henderson, we're still missing Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez at the back, and at the moment it seems like they have the potential. Not at the moment they have the potential to beat anyone in the league. But if they keep missing all these chances, obviously they're not going to do it. But once you drop in Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez and Jordan Henderson, this team is going to challenge for the league. And it's possible that they can do the same thing that they did last year, which is almost go ahead for 10, 20 points from the second place, which is incredible.
Matty got baited again. Sorry, Matty got baited again.
I think if Van Dijk played this year, we would have won the league.
Absolutely.
Oh, I don't know.
We were top of Christmas.
I know, but the way the City have played have been sort of irresistible, and we could never have done anything about that. They won 18 games in a row, like that's ridiculous.
It's City though, isn't it? It's just.
I don't really care. I don't care. Like, I really don't care.
No one's asked when it's City. If it's United or Liverpool, everyone cares. But it's just.
Last season, at this point in time, they dropped similar points to now. I believe that now they drew already like 5-6 games and they lost like 3 games. If Liverpool kept the form from last season, they will obviously be in first place. Last season we were unbeaten at this stage, if I'm not wrong, or we just lost 1 game.
Yeah, I think we was unbeaten about this stage. I think when Van Dijk's back, Liverpool win the league again with this team.
Absolutely, no question about it.
And Henderson as well. Henderson back in the midfield.
And Ben's brought this up. Who fits into that midfield and everyone's fit? There's only 3 places, and you've got Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Keita, Diox.
Isn't that the best problem to have in the world?
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Considering we lack
Man City. Look at Man City. They have 3 internationals in every position, basically. You just we have to have all of them to even compete.
And I don't know what you guys think about like the best midfield 3 for Liverpool, but for me, it's absolutely Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago. And if we need to bring someone in to just slot in and give more attack to the midfield, we just have Keita, and then we just have Wijnaldum for more stability. I mean,
and CJ. And CJ, Curtis Jones.
I think Curtis Jones and Naby Keita are at a level now where either will come on. They're not like one's worse than the other. I think exactly.
I don't think Curtis Jones has been tested yet to the point where we can actually like make a rational judgment. I think he's been splendid in so many games, but he hasn't really proved it against the top. He needs to do it in the Champions League. Not hear me out, not against Leipzig or anything like that, but against a top side, in quarterfinals, in semifinals. He needs to do it against maybe Man United, against Man City. After he does that, we can sit down here and say, okay, you know what? Curtis Jones can actually be one of the strongest players in that midfield. But he's really raw at the moment. And the fact that he's so good while being this raw, this young is just huge news for us.
One thing I would say, though, is he did turn up on a massive stage when he scored against Everton last season. And on the Ajax game earlier this season, scored a really important goal. Jack, sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I love Gini. I did. I don't really that much anymore. But for me, if you think he gets in our best midfield, I think you're waffling.
He adds a balance. So I feel like if you have two in the pivot that are too attacking, it's just going to leave something behind. I feel like Gini is like the balanced player. Gini and Hendo need to be in that midfield. One of them needs to be in that field alongside a player that's just going to go like a Keita or a Curtis Jones.
I think our best midfield is Fabinho, Keita, and Thiago.
It's too top heavy.
Do you think? I think Thiago is probably one of the most hard-working, defensively sounding midfielders. I think he does that just as much as Gini, but probably goes thrown away. I think Petrie's got it on here. It's one of the two. I don't think you can have both of them in.
How old is
30?
We had that midfield last season, and we were saying, okay, the midfield is perfect, but we're missing something. We're missing that Coutinho player. We're missing this and that. The fact that Thiago came in, he basically balanced everything out. We have Thiago who can actually break the lines with passes, do really long passes and just reach the forwards. We have Fabinho who is unpassable, and then we actually have Henderson who, for me, does absolutely everything that Gini does, but even more. So, I mean, I feel like that's the perfect stability that we needed. But now, if you guys allow me to shift away a little bit, what's your take on Ruben Neves? Because for me, I feel like he should be the perfect Jordan Henderson replacement in the future, but he didn't really surprise me as much in today's game.
My Jordan Henderson replacement's Calvin Phillips.
You think he's leaving Leeds?
Yeah.
Do you reckon? No, not for me.
In the long term, if he wants to win trophies, he's not going to win trophies at Leeds.
Jack Grealish ain't going to win. He's going to win trophies at Villa.
Isn't he more of a defensive player, though?
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I just think I think he could adapt a bit more. He's young. He's got. I mean, the only other player I've been looking at that Rodrigo de Paul quite a bit. Everyone's talking about him replacing Gini, but I think he could maybe replace Hendo as well.
I don't know. I love Yves Bissouma from Brighton. I love everything to do with Brighton, to be honest. I think they're brilliant. But especially Graham Potter. But to be honest, I think for me, in terms of a Gini replacement, I don't know. It's a difficult one because loads of people were saying Curtis Jones, but he's not that sort of player. But I love Bissouma, to be honest. I think he's the one for me.
He's more defensive as well, isn't he? So you're talking about replacing Henderson. Bissouma's more defensive as well. I think we've already got a replacement for Henderson, really, in Curtis Jones. I think he cements his place in the midfield in the next few years. But Ruben Neves, I like him. I remember when he went to Wolves in the Championship, and I was like, oh my God, how have they got him in a Championship? Because he had such high potential, but I don't think he's lived up to it that much in the Premier League.
No, I think he had started on such a high. He absolutely dominated. Probably one of the best players to ever play in the Championship at such a young age. And then he's been okay. He's not been bad. Like, you can't go out and say Neves has been bad, but yeah, he's not been.
He wasn't what he's been expected.
So
no, absolutely.
Florian Neuhaus from Borussia. He seemed.
I mean, what I've seen.
He seemed more of the Gini type of player. He offered more threat and attack. He plays perfectly as a 10, actually. But I feel like we need to add a player that can add something to the midfield that we don't have at the moment. And for me, Ruben Neves has that power outside of the box when he shoots. I don't think nobody in midfield has it other than Fabinho maybe, but he doesn't really try it as much. So Ruben Neves for me really is the perfect player, but he didn't really shine in today's game. So, and Neto as well. I mean, everybody's talking so highly of Neto, and I mean, I'm just happy that we ended up with Diogo Jota because for me it seems like we got the best player out of their front line, bar maybe.
No one.
Jimenez, you know?
Yeah,
I agree. I don't rate Neto. Everyone's raving of him, but when we were doing Red or Dead, he's played 28 games this year and scored 5 goals. That's not Liverpool front three standard.
I think
so
he
well,
struggles.
how many? Go on.
He struggles though because of how Wolves play. Like I feel like Adama set the world alight last year, but now he hasn't been putting up the numbers because Wolves have been struggling like in games. And he's played like a deeper role.
And
This puts me in
young.
great pain. Great pain. Look, Dele Alli's not a sort of character that Jurgen Klopp would sign, if I'm being honest with you. Very, very talented, supremely talented, but I think the ship has sailed, if I'm being honest.
Better than
How old
Neves.
is he?
24?
No, he's older than that. Dele Alli.
Is it?
He's been a promising youngster for the past 10 years now.
Is he the reincarnation of Lingard?
Hold on, I got
No,
called a great.
he's 24.
24.
Yeah, he's 24.
Well, in terms of Henderson replacements, I would love Grealish, but I just don't think Klopp.
He's a bit. He's a left-sided player for me. And I'd love it. I'd love him.
He could play on the left side of midfield, though, couldn't he? You can switch your midfield around a little bit to fit him in.
I suppose, but yeah, I think we've waffled now. I think we may as well finish.
One more
up.
thing: Dele Alli may want to be the next Steven Gerrard, but he never will be the next Steven Gerrard. The next Steven Gerrard. Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones will be the closest thing to Gerrard. Gerrard said it himself. He's the best player he's worked with when he was at the under-18s.
Well, I mean, isn't it Trent in a way the next Gerrard, despite the position shift?
Maybe
Didn't Gerrard play in right back at the start of his career?
Oh, that is true.
he did for a few games, not as much as Trent though.
And everybody keeps raving about moving Trent to the midfield.
I would move him. I think he can cement himself as the best right back in world football ever.
The way he's defending at the moment, why would you take him out of there? I think he's been excellent defensively, especially in the last couple of weeks. And yeah, I don't see the point in moving there when we've got so many unbelievable options in midfield.
He really could become the next Kimmich. If you think about it, he could become the next Kimmich. He can play both midfield and right back perfectly because Kimmich right now is one of the best defensive midfielders in the world as well as the best right back in the world. So I mean, who knows? He can probably do both things to the top level.
Go on, Steve.
There'll never be another Gerrard though, because there's never going to be a player that good coming out of the best place in Liverpool.
Absolutely. I think that's a good place to finish, Matthew, lad.
Fours are heightened. Thank you on for watching. I've been Matty, joined with Chris, Taylor, and Dan finally making an appearance. We'll get them back on, don't worry.
Of the Reds.
Of the Reds.